And welcome back to the Leeds Lens. We have got your new show at 8 p.m. I'm a bit tired. I'm potentially a bit hungover from last night. But we are here to talk about Leeds United news. And we have got quite a bit to get into today. So, let's get on with the show, really. There's a few, my main things today that I want to talk about is Daniel Farke, some of his quotes that came out from yesterday's press conference that I thought were quite interesting. Talks about Leeds United dominating the whole game and dominating every aspect, obviously, except the most important, which was, of course, the scoreline. So talking about that, we're also going to talk about the relegation picture at this moment in time, where what we've seen from the other teams that we think Leeds United are going to be in the main table, in the Premier League, of course. So we're going to get into that as well. Some good results for us today. Wolves obviously drawing with a late goal from Van Hecke, saving us there. Brentford obviously got beat by Man City. I think we all expected that, but they did. That nearly twisted and turned right at the end, although I thought Man City was by far the better team. Sunderland also this weekend as well, which I think was quite interesting. We obviously had Burnley losing today as well, so I think, and Forest losing. So I think, actually, for Leeds United, obviously yesterday didn't go how we planned. It didn't go how we wanted. Leeds United didn't get the result of line, but it was made better and not as bad of a weekend because other teams also failed this weekend as well. Yes, they had tricky games like, obviously, Brentford playing against Man City, I think was obviously really challenging, as was obviously Burnley going to Villa Park. But it's nice that these teams did actually lose them games because it keeps Leeds United with that buffer. We currently have slipped down to 15th now, so we are starting to get a bit more further dragged into relegations, and we're not quite looking upwards. I think we potentially are looking more downwards, of course, but we're still not in an awful position. Evening, Scott. Hope the head isn't too sore. No, it's not too bad. It was actually quite bad this morning, but it's not as bad as the day's gone on. As I've had something to eat, we're getting slightly better. But if my voice sounds a bit strange today, a bit croaky, you know why. But yeah, let's start with talking a bit about Daniel Farke and the comments yesterday. Basically, after the game, Daniel Farke said, and I quote, "We dominated in all aspects, and the performance we put in, I'd have been unhappy even with a draw." Now, he is right on this. He is right. If you look at XG, shots, corners, chances created, possession, every single metric you want to look at, Leeds United did dominate the game. That is a true reflection. However, obviously, there's parts of this that we can't control, and there's parts of that I don't think this mentions, because especially in the first half, and I know that all you guys watched the game as well, I thought there was a lot of times in the first half where they had good transitional moments on us that actually didn't lead to goals, but I thought they were actually in a good vein. And I thought they were sort of offering a lot, even if it wasn't leading to a shot. So I sometimes think XG and shots even can be a bit of a wild metric, because it doesn't talk about, for example, there was a lot of times in the first half when they had sort of 3-on-3 opportunities running at our back four, where, I don't know, Goodmanson being caught up high, they got in behind, and it was like Kudus, Jerry Simons, or Odegaard on the left, and obviously Mateus Tell up front, and they had really good transitional moments, really strong transitional moments, which don't go down on XG, nor is it a shooting opportunity, but actually there were chances. And I didn't think, to be honest with you, I thought yesterday was probably fair draw, if I'm being honest. I didn't think that we were miles better than them, if I'm being honest. I know the stats might reflect that. From what I saw, I didn't agree with that personally. I thought we were fine in the game. I thought we actually played relatively well against the opposition we know, who were obviously we are under-equipped against. Naturally, look at the players they're bringing off the bench in comparison to what we're bringing off the bench. We're basically, in attacking sense at this moment in time, only got Nemecha Pro and Harrison. We ain't got another winger to bring on. We've obviously got Aronson still playing on the right-hand side as well, playing out of position, because he's a number 10 by trade, although I do think he's better on the right, so maybe he's a right winger. I'm not fully convinced on Daniel Farke's comments there, I'm being totally honest. I agree with him to an extent, and I thought a draw was probably a fair result, but I didn't think, if I'm being honest, that we were miles better. However, there was moments in the game for Leeds United yesterday. You look at the Rodon header in the first half, he has to score that. That is an absolute sitter. It's a complete open goal. Vicaro's completely missed his punch. If he gets it on target, he scores the goal, and unfortunately, he just misses out and hits the post. And I think maybe if that goes in, maybe it'd change the complexion of the game. We wouldn't have been chasing the game. Although I do think something we have seen from Leeds United so far is when we do go behind, I have liked the reaction in recent weeks. I thought the reaction against Wolves was absolutely fantastic. I thought the reaction against Bournemouth, although it took a bit of time to kick in, was fantastic. And then what we also see from Leeds United, which is a great strength, is we don't just get that first goal, we actually go and push for the second goals, and a lot of times have got the second goals, like we saw with Wolves, and we obviously went and got the third, like we saw with the Bournemouth game when we get that goal. And from that period, and even saw it yesterday as well, when we level up the game, from Okafor, I think in the 31st minute. From that stage until the 45th minute, we were outstanding. And actually, I remember seeing something on the TNT Sports at that moment in time where they were talking about it and saying that is Leeds are the best team in the division at this moment in time between the 30th minute and the 45th minute. That's a key stronghold for Leeds United when we score a lot of our goals. But we do see as a pattern, when Leeds United get that first goal, we go for teams then, and we sort of sense vulnerability in the opposition, and that is when we try to pounce. And I thought we saw that in flying colours yesterday. Although the goal didn't come for us in that phase of play, going up to half time, like when they get to half time, Thomas on the 40th minute, Thomas Frankie's thinking, let's just get into half time here because they're all over us. And I thought obviously at the end as well we were pushing for the goal. I thought the changes didn't really work, which we talked about yesterday, but I do think we were pushing on in the game. I really do. We have a good midfield that naturally creates chances. We only need loads of comments flying in. We had a good midfield that naturally creates chances. We only need the right combination up front. Yeah, the up front I do want to talk about a bit because we've obviously got DCL up there, Okafor on the left, which I think was working well. I know there's sort of conversations at this moment in time in the Leeds United fan base around about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and his sort of lack of proficiency in front of goal and his failure to convert sort of relatively basic chances. And there's no way he's getting dropped because what he can offer the team. We've talked about this loads. He's miles. He's by far the best sort of number 9 we've got at the football club, in my personal opinion. What he can offer in terms of physical setting, how he sort of brings his people into play. We've talked about this on loads, but he is so vital. But I think you look yesterday, and Noah Okafor's got to be up there as one of the most pivotal players in the team, in my opinion as well. He offers so much on the left side. You take him out, if he gets injured at this moment in time, we are quite rudderless up front at that moment in time. So I do think he is coming into his own. And I think actually, Noah Okafor, I'm seeing a progression in his game already. He talked about an interview he had earlier in the season about he wanted to learn how to do more sprints and be able to perform more sprints. We know he's quick. We know he can offer. He's got a physical presence about him. It was just about can Noah Okafor use that physical presence and use his physicality to his advantage, which he's naturally blessed with. And I do think yesterday he started to use that more. Like I look at the difference between the Fulham first half performance where he was trying to do things, but it wasn't that effective. And then I look at sort of yesterday's performance and I just see an upgrade in Noah Okafor physically, and I think it's really paying dividends. Jack says any loss is going to be tough to take, but definitely positives to take. Start of the season, I thought we were in for a long. I thought we were in for a long year, but I'm encouraged by what I've seen. More than good enough to stay up. No, I agree. I agree. My issue has always been is that I think Leeds United are very, very much capable of staying up. And I've said this in loads on the channel. I feel like I want to come out and say this Leeds United team are not getting relegated. I feel like I want to come out and say we're not going down. But I just don't see like I can say that at this moment in time because I'm still struggling. Like, and I'm a bit frustrated with the appointments that other teams have made. The likes of Nuno coming in at West Ham has been a bit of a pain in my burden. And sort of how Brentford have started, I thought they'd be poorer than they were. Although I do want to talk about Brentford, and we'll get onto them with the relegation fodder because I thought they were really bad today. Actually, I thought they were very lucky to come out with a 1-0 loss, and I thought it was lack of sort of Man City's final product actually that stopped it being an absolute rout today. I think that game could have easily finished, and they could have been up 3 or 4 in the first half, Man City, if they'd have just sort of not got complacent. I thought Man City found it so easy in that first half because they weren't getting pressurised. When you look at what Brentford are and what they've been so brilliant at in recent years, it's always been the intensity they've played with, and they basically battle every single team. They're fantastic in the duels. I thought they gave far too much respect to Man City today, and I thought, as I said, if Man City had popped up a few passes and the Reinders goal goes in, I think we could have been seeing a result that was massive for Leeds United, even in terms of goal difference setting as well. But we obviously keep that above them at this moment in time. Spot on, Jack. A lot of people agreeing with Jack on that. I do agree with you. I think that's a fair point to look at. Anyway, let's move on to the relegation update because this is huge news for Leeds United today. Because obviously we need 3 teams to be lower than us. That's what everybody knows. That's what we're trying to do this season. That is the whole aim of what Leeds United are trying to do. And you look at teams that we think can go down. I think at this moment in time, I think you've got, for me, a mini league with Leeds United, Burnley, Brentford, probably Sunderland, I think, will probably pop into that at some point. Wolves, of course. I think them 5 are probably definitely in there. And I think you've got to probably throw Forest in at this moment in time as well. I might have missed someone out. I don't think I have. And Leeds United got really positive results in this league today, in my opinion. Obviously, naturally, as I said, it depends on other teams doing. I thought that goal that Van Hecker scored right at the end was massive for Leeds United today. I feel like almost celebrating that goal because we want to keep Wolves down there. They're their performances are starting to improve, in my opinion. They are starting to get better, but they're giving up goals late on in games, and that will kill them today because it nearly killed them away at Spurs. And to do it 2 weeks on the bounce, that really, really damages the momentum of this Wolverhampton Wanderers team at this moment in time. So I think that's a really decent result for us in a game where I'd expect it to be quite a good game for Wolves to pick up points. I don't think Brighton are fantastic. Hurts, I'm still sort of on the fence with. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with. I was really pleased with that result. No players are undroppable. If we kept playing a player who can't score yesterday's result will be the norm. I disagree. So, who do you play, PSF? Do you play Perot up front? Because I just don't agree with this rhetoric. I've tried to understand why people have said Perot, and I know he's massive on this channel. We talk all the time, and he's massive on Joe Perot starting. I cannot see the rationale for it. I can understand other people's opinions, and I get that Perot's a better finisher. But in terms of what a striker gives you as a player in your team, if you are looking at just his finishing, you are looking at a microcosm of what a striker should bring a football team. That is completely taking no accountability of any defending, taking no accountability of any pressing, taking no accountability of any physical attributes, taking no accountability in terms of how we can run, how we can offer certain... Like, we can't press with Perot up front. People don't talk about this. We can't even press with Perot up front. He's not a good presser of the ball. He's not as good a presser as a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There's so many things. There's one thing that Perot is better at, and it's on the floor finishing. That is it. Every single thing else, Calvert-Lewin is better than. There's just no way he's ever going to work. So I can't get behind this rhetoric at all. If Farke did it, I'd be going mad. I've got to be honest with you. I really would. But yeah, let's get back to talking about. So yeah, Wolves, I was quite pleased with that result. Forest lost as well, and I don't think they're going to sack Ange just yet. And we've talked about this on the channel as well. We play Forest before the next... We obviously know managers get sacked in international breaks. That's usually when things occur. Well, actually, we play Nottingham Forest the week before the next international break, the November international break. So we've got one now. I think it'll be slightly too early for him to get sacked this time, but I think the results don't improve in the next... after the next international break, he will be moved on. But as I said, Leeds United play the week before against that Forest game. So that sort of game can't come around quickly enough for Leeds United at this moment in time. We're in a good vein. They're in a really bad vein. There looks like toxic sort of stuff going on, like Morgan Gibbs White walking past Ange. Basically, the whole players annoying him. They're frustrated with Ange Postecoglou at Forest. It was getting ugly against Michelin for them midweek as well in the Europa League. I think there was booing in the crowd. This is the time we need to get that Forest game played, don't we? Because this is a really good opportunity to sort of jump on it. And it was nice actually that Forest lost today as well. Brentford losing as well, like we talked about, a really positive thing again for Leeds United. I know last week there was a bit of rhetoric, and I saw it on social media, like people laughing at Man United for losing to Brentford. And I get that, and I understand that, but we're not in the Championship anymore, and we can't laugh at Man United losing against teams. We can like it in terms of what the rivalry is, but what's best for Leeds United at this moment in time is Brentford losing to everybody. That is the best case scenario. So when they play Man United, who I don't think are ever going to go down, as annoying as it is, we don't have to root for Man United. I'm not celebrating the goals, but I don't understand the idea that we should be celebrating and basking in the fact that Man United have lost to Brentford, one of our main rivals to stay in this division. I didn't get that, and it was nice, as I said, that Man City picked up that 3 points today and stopped it. And as I said, I think it was an all-round really good day for Leeds United in terms of the results of the other teams, because it's so important for Leeds United to stay in the league. We need 3 teams lower, of course. I think it's the 49ers' fault we haven't got players Farke asked for. In terms of which positions, I agree with you on right wing. I think right wing's a nightmare. I think the midfield's perfect, though. I know I talked about this on the channel quite a bit in the summer about we need to go buy a number 10. We do not need a number 10 in this Leeds United team. We do not need a number 10 at all. The midfield balance is absolutely perfect at this moment in time. And we've got Tanaka, who I think can come in the team. I would expect Tanaka does come in. I don't think he will, actually, but I would personally put Tanaka into this Leeds United team at this moment in time. I think he's better. I think he suits the team better than a Stack, in my opinion. I think the attributes of what we require, and I think the performance levels from what we saw with Tanaka even yesterday when he came on over Stack, he obviously gave us, I think, a bit of a boost in the game. So I would start Tanaka from now on. But we don't need number 10. That I don't think Farke can moan and sort of bitch about that. I don't think that's a fair comparison. The table will have mini leagues by the time the second half of the season starts, and West Ham, etc., wake up, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. I think West Ham will eventually start to pull away from the. I just don't see their team getting relegated. I really don't. I think Nuno in charge is a cracking appointment. I think they've got enough players there. They've got Jared Bowen, one of the better wingers in the division, has been for the last few league campaigns, that they won't go down. Somerville on the left hand side. If they lost Bowen and he went down injured, which he never gets injured by the way, is another thing. But if he went down injured, I think that could be interesting. And Somerville went down injured, because then you look where the goal's going to come from. But at this moment in time, with him available, there's just no way. I think they'll be fine, to be honest. People are always looking for people to blame. We have who we have, and we work with that. Well, we do now, I think, Mr. Whitesnake. I think that is exactly right. I think that's the good mentality it's got to be. We can't make change to the team now. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we've got to work with the position we're in, really. I think Farke was asking for a striker and a winger. I think he was, and I think you're right. But I think we did look at number 10s. We were linked with a few number 10s later on in the window, as we know. I think Gustavo Hamer, obviously, we were looking at that. I don't think he'd have made a massive difference, actually, to this Leeds team. I think I was wrong on that. I don't think he would have. I think what we've got in the midfield, he wouldn't be playing at this moment in time, would he? Gustavo Hamer. Like, you throw Hamer in this team when he's not playing. So I think that's. I think that if we're looking anywhere in the January window, it has to be for a right winger. It actually has to be. You see what we get with Okafor on the left hand side yesterday. The main attacking threat from the wings is by far the left hand side. It's not even close. And then you see what we've got on the right hand side. And we're basically just neutralising the right-hand side for ourselves without the opposition having to defend against us. And also what that offers is, it means they naturally, when other teams are going forward against Leeds United, when they know they don't have the threat on the right-hand side, they can be a bit more adventurous. And it actually doesn't help your defensive work, because naturally when you haven't got a threat in behind and when you haven't got someone who you think is going to cause you loads of problems, they will take more risks against Leeds United when it's up against Brendan Aronson, which will then add more attacking bodies for the opposition into our attacking half to stop us that then we've got to defend against. So it's vital we go get a winger in January. It really is. We've got to go do one. I'm interested to see how Nonso comes in. I think when he comes back in, that could help. James obviously been out for a couple of weeks. He has been off it as well, to be fair, James. Back end for a good few months now, but I still think he offers more of a threat. I even think Jack Harrison, I've said this a number of times, I still think Jack Harrison is a better right winger than Brendan Aronson as well, in my opinion. And I was actually glad at the weekend, I think this is something I didn't mention straight at the time, that actually did break off. He brought off Aronson, didn't he? And he didn't bring off Okafor. I know he brought off Okafor later on, but the first change when Stack came off and when Aronson came off, that was the correct move at that moment in time. And I was glad he didn't take off Okafor, because it's nice, because I think we've got a worry in the fan base at this moment that Okafor can't play 90, and I know he still hasn't done that yet, but I think we are building up towards now Okafor, and I expect Okafor just to get better and better and better, if I'm being honest. I think we've got a serious player there, I really do. Dominic Martins, hi guys, hi to you, Dominic. I hope you're well. This team has potential and has shown strength of character. We've created opportunities. We just need to finish. Yeah, we do. We created a lot of opportunities, Mr. Whitesnake, at the weekend. 100% yesterday, shall I say? Loads of opportunities, and that's something we've got to work on. We've got to be more proficient in front of goal. It's vital. I mean, Joe Rodon has to score that chance. He actually has to score that chance. It's an absolute sitter, and he'll be looking at that tomorrow, I'm sure, and even today, and sort of been so frustrated, I would imagine, that hasn't ended up in the back of the net, because it really had to do that. Bogle on the right wing, Justin playing behind, I don't like that. I think we've got something perfect with Bogle at right back. I think he needs to work on certain things, Bogle, like some of his crossing yesterday was awful. And I said actually in the match reaction that he's got to work on that cross, and it's got to be something that he's doing just religiously in training. 1,000 crosses a day, I said, for both of them. And Goodmanson thinking from that exact position where the goal came from, he's got to just do that over and over again. But I don't like him as a right winger. I also think Bogle's been quite underrated defensively. Like you look at sort of how Goodmanson probably struggled yesterday up against Kudus. I actually don't think Bogle struggled at all against Odegaard. I thought he had his number, if I'm being honest. I think Bogle's disappointment yesterday, in my opinion, was stuff in the final third as opposed to his defensive stuff, which is not quite what I expected. And it hasn't been that hasn't been the case so far this season, but it was yesterday. We're like the old school Stoke team right now, big and strong, hard to beat. Was in the Premier League for years. I think we are. I think we've gone for a physical approach. Like I think Sean Longstaff sort of is everything that this Leeds United team was built to be. I think he defines what being a Leeds United player for this Daniel Farke team at this moment in time is. I really do think that he's been truly fantastic. I think in basically every game he's played. I think he had that slip a bit at Wolves away. I don't think that was his best game, and obviously he let Krejci or whatever run through and score, and that was a mistake on his behalf for sure. Although there was a few other mistakes in that goal, of course, as well. But I do think Sean Longstaff defines everything we're trying to do. Leeds United at the moment are trying to be really strong in the duels. We've heard this talked about with Stack massively when he needed his sort of conversation last week with the BBC. He talked about something that are massive for Leeds United at this moment in time is winning duels, but creating a game where there's loads of duels and using our physicality in these duels to get the ball and then to attack teams. I think the duels is something that we've definitely targeted, because if you want a quick way to get relegated, you lose your duels. And Leeds United have built a team that do not lose duels, which is, and as I said, and I think Sean Longstaff embodies everything that we're trying to do at this moment in time and every single way that we're trying to progress as a football club. I think he's been a brilliant signing, Sean Longstaff. I wasn't fully on board with it at the start, but I'm convinced now that he has been fantastic a signing. I think he will continue to grow and grow. I think he was fantastic again yesterday. I really do. He's unbelievably underrated. The reason Sean Longstaff's so underrated, by the way, is because technically he doesn't look unbelievable to watch. And that's part of his, like, he doesn't pass the ball with a sort of certain bit of class that you might see with players. But what he has got is his drive and his work rate and his off the ball work and his tackling and his ability to win duels, and he's strong and he's powerful and he goes forward and he gets chances and gets goals and he wins the ball high up for us and releases it quickly and gets us moving forward. He's everything for that midfield. He's an absolute engine in there for Sean Longstaff. And I can see why now he was actually in a team that was so important. Like, used to turn Newcastle fans, not as much now with the likes of Bruno Guimaraes in there and Tonali, but you can see now why when Longstaff was playing in that Newcastle team, he was so important to how Newcastle played, because he does all the dirty work. He does everything that people don't like to sort of rate in players, the things that people don't care about and the things that people don't look for, but he doesn't allow you to get bullied in the midfield, and you can't get bullied in the Premier League. And we haven't been bullied once in the Premier League so far in the midfield at all. Maybe outside of Arsenal, but it'd been interesting actually in the Arsenal game if because obviously Sean Longstaff didn't start that game. Had he started it, if it had been any different. Longstaff is class and underrated in my opinion. Yeah, he is. He's 100% underrated. He really is. How love Longstaff, which was a good sign in hindsight. Yeah, exactly. Every single thing that you wouldn't deem to be something that like players look for and technical efficiency, everything else in his game is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Everything else. So yeah, I'm so impressed with him. I really am. I can't believe how impressed with him I am. And as he said, he embodies everything that this Leeds United team do well at this moment in time. Adama Traore on the right wing, big and strong, fast, always scores against Leeds. Get him, lol. Yeah, Adama Traore a nice addition. I think he would, because he'd offer a threat. He'd offer a huge threat. He's powerful, he's strong, he can carry the ball really well, as we know, a really good dribbler, and he creates problems, and that's what we need. We need a bit of, like, yesterday, I think we struggled to break. When Spurs, the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of the game, I think they sat into a low block, didn't they? And they sort of soaked up pressure a bit. They brought down, so they went to 3 centre-backs, and they sort of tried to shield the game out. It would have been nice in that situation to have a Traore to see run at someone and make something happen. I'm not saying he's the most beautiful player to watch, but he's exciting to watch, and he will get the ball, and he will be direct, and he will run at people. And I think what we don't see from Brendan Harrison is that. So I agree, a Traore would be a good sign. Although I do think that Traore probably will end up going to West Ham, because I know Nuno's massive on him. So I think that might happen. But I do think he'd be a really nice option. I really do. Do you expect BR will come straight in for Sturridge after the international break? It's a really good question, Sebastian. I don't think he will. No, I actually don't think he will. I would now do it. I think I would do it, because we're not. We were talking about the start of the season. Oh yeah, but we can't drop strap. We're not conceding many goals, and that's absolutely fine. But now we are conceding quite a lot of goals now, aren't we? To be fair, like we are. We've conceded back-to-back 2 goals in games. We're not quite as defensively assured, and that is because naturally we're going more attacking in games, and we're not playing as deep, and we're not playing as defensive as we were in the Fulham game, and in the Newcastle game. We've changed our approach style, and we've gone more aggressive, and we've gone more sort of attacking, and we're naturally giving up more chances. But we can't say now that we're not conceding many goals, because we are conceding. That's one of my worries at the moment. I think when we were doing well, we built it on a really, really strong defence. I'm not as sure our defence is quite as strong as it was at the start of the year. But as I said, that's because we've changed approach. We're creating more chances. Like, you look at the Fulham game in comparison to the Spurs game yesterday. The Fulham game, I thought we sat in, we soaked it up, and we tried to go there and get a 0-0. Yesterday was completely different to that. We lost both games by 1 goal, but the way we tried to play yesterday, and the way we had them on the front foot, and the way we were trying to be on the front foot and being aggressive and not giving too much respect to the opposition, I much prefer yesterday's performance. I much prefer it. I thought it was miles better. In my opinion. If I had one criticism about yesterday, it was Ampadu playing too far forward. Ampadu playing too far forward in terms of not being deep enough and disciplined in his role. That's interesting. I didn't notice that, PSF, but I will look out for that in the next game. Troy out of favourite Fulham, behind a few wingers now, will be cheap, bags of experience, not a bad option. Yeah, I agree. I think Troy would be a good, nice option. They have got loads of wingers now, as you're right. They've got, obviously, Harry Wilson still there on the right-hand side. They've got Kevin that they brought in. They've got Chukwueze that they brought in as well. They've obviously got Iwobi on the left-hand side as well. They've got bags full of wingers. If they'd sell him to us, though, if they're somewhere near it, Fulham, which I don't think they will be, actually, but if they are somewhere near it and sort of in and around the relegation picture, maybe they wouldn't do business with us. But I think he'd be a lovely option. I really would. Because, again, like we talked about with Shaw Longstaff, I think in terms of what sort of trio I can bring you, it's everything but the sexy stuff. Everything but the sexy stuff that he brings. Arsenal beat us with quality and Premiership experience. Not many teams beat Arsenal. We're holding good at the moment. January season is deafening. Yeah, I agree. I think in January it's going to be huge. Because the problem with the January as well is we're going to have to do something. And we're not in a privileged position because we haven't got any money. Like, we're so broke on PSR. Like, we are completely limited at this moment in time anyway. There might be a bit of wiggle room. We might be able to do a few loans with options to buy or loans with obligations where we're paying next season, something like that. But also, if we do that, remember, we are then damaging our transfer window next summer. So it's a bit of a tricky one. But we will have to do stuff in January because the likes of West Ham, I think, will do stuff in the market. I think Burnley will probably do stuff in the market. I won't be surprised if Sunderland do something again. I won't be surprised if Brentford do more in the window as well. With the money that they'll definitely have to spend. I think if Brentford are in a position, they will spend. So yeah, I'm quite sort of. I think the January transfer window, I think we'd be better actually if it didn't exist. Like, we talk about what actually can bring Leeds United, and we can get a right winger that really pushes on. I think what we'll do in comparison to other teams, in the strength that they'll do, potentially will not actually be a benefit for Leeds United. I think we'd actually be better if we couldn't have a January window and nobody did, because I do think teams are going to be in better positions going into January with the money they can spend than Leeds United will be in. So I actually think they're going to get stronger. I would expect, and we're probably going to do a few deals, I think, but I don't think we'll get stronger enough to in comparison to other teams. Is my personal opinion. I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping other teams like Brentford don't do stuff, but we know they've got the money that they can do stuff, and we know Leeds United are not in that position to be able to do that. Would you sell in January as right now? Pro is an obvious one, but won't be enough in my opinion. Yeah, I think we do. I think we are going to even need sales, aren't we, in January to sort of make stuff happen. Obviously, we know we can sell before July the 1st, but it's nice to get that money in like we saw with Sinistera when we moved him on in January. So I don't want to take too many people out of this team because I think we need a lot of these players. Like, Pro is an obvious one, but I don't think there's many more. Like, I've talked about moving Straucon at times, but I don't think we can afford to. I don't think we've got enough depth really to sort of that we can afford really to move a Pascal Straucon in January. So I think that's going to be I don't know. I'm not convinced we're going to come out of a January window I think we'll come out as a team in a better position, but I also think other teams will come back in a better position as well. And I think their better position might be a better position than us. Why do we worry about others do? We have enough of our own problems. No, I know, but it's more Whitesnake is that we're trying to finish above these teams naturally. So always, we don't need to be. Leeds can be awful like if Leeds don't win another game for the rest of the season, and neither of the bottoms teams do, we'll have an awful season from now on. We'll stay up, and that'll be the aim. So what others do is massively important to what we do. Like, surely you were happy today to see that Brentford lost and Sunderland lost, probably, if you're looking at them. Forest losing as well, Wolves drawing. Surely you're happy with that because that makes our job easier, which is what we want. Do you think Tanaka will replace Stack in the next match against Burnley? I think I might have answered this one, but I don't. No, I didn't. I don't think I have actually. I would do that. I would start Tanaka from now on. I think, as I said, I think he gives us more than Stack does. I think he fits this system better than Stack does. Stack just feels a yard off it. I think. I really do think that. So yeah, I would bring Tanaka in. I still think Stack's got use in this team, and I think when we're taking Stack out, we've got to remember obviously Stack's 6'4", and Tanaka's been Tanaka's about 5'10", is he? Something like that. So we are going to lose the physical presence when we do that. So when we look at corners, we have drastically improved. By the way, I know Stack's not been getting. On the end of crosses that we've had since he's been in the box. Obviously, Longstaff's gone on corners, Stack's been in the box. Stack hasn't been getting on the end of crosses, but we have become much more threatening now. Stack's been in the box. That's because part of that could be down to the fact that the disruption he's causing. So obviously, you bring him out the team. It's not all and bring Tanaka in. Yes, I think he gives us more on the ball. Yes, I think potentially at this moment in time he's better in a duel, which might sound madness, but I think he's more. I think he's a better tackler probably than Stack, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I probably would do it, but I'm not. I understand why you wouldn't do, because he offers that physical presence in the box. And I said, since he's been in the penalty area, we've been much better from corners. I wasn't talking about games, I was referred to off field. But it's the same logic, isn't it, Mr. Whiteside? Like, it's the same logic. Like, I think that, like, if Brentford bought 3 really good players in January, that wouldn't help us. It'd be like them picking up results. Anyway, nice chat, 8:30 a.m. here, so I've got things to do. No worries, and good luck with the rest of your day. I shall see you later at White Snake. And we're probably going to be wrapping up soon anyway, so no worries. You're probably not going to miss too much more. But yeah, I think overall, obviously, Leeds United didn't get the result they wanted at the weekend, as we all know. But as I said, as the weekend goes, I know we've dropped down to 15th now. We've lost a few places. The likes of, I think, Everton have gone quite a bit above us now, and a few other teams. They're not going to go down anyway. I'm not as worried about that. I think Villa are catching us, but again, not too concerned about that. But I think overall, when you look at the relegation picture and we look at these tables that we've talked about, and our mini table, actually, a lot of teams have done quite poorly in our mini league this weekend. There's not been a lot of good wins. Sunderland losing. Obviously, we've lost. Burnley have lost. Brentford have lost. Forest have lost. Wolves have only drawn. We've sort of got away with it, I think, this weekend. Obviously, we are going to have to start picking up points ourselves, but it's been nice to see that no one's really. Obviously, we've dropped points and no one's really capitalised on that today. That's been nice, and today's been a really positive day for Leeds United's survival hopes. It sounds madness because we're so early, but these mini tables, I think, are going to become more apparent as the season goes on, for sure, in my opinion. Anyway, we've done half an hour there, and I'm getting quite tired, I've got to be honest. But we have got a live show again tomorrow at 8 p.m, like we always do. It's international break, so we always get into different topics in international break. Sometimes I quite like the international breaks because we go into different sort of fields of play, to things to talk about. So I think it should be quite good. So get there tomorrow at 8 p.m, and we'll be going again and digesting more Leeds United content. But I hope you've enjoyed today's show, and if you could, and you have survived this long, if you could drop a like, subscribe, all that sort of good stuff, it does massively help the channel. I'm only a small channel, so basically when the more likes I can get, like if you're a massive content creator like Mr. Beast or something, an extra 1 like means jack. But because I don't get that many likes on any of my videos, like we're talking, I don't know, 20, 30 likes. So if you could do that and drop one, it's huge for me. It really is. So if you could do that, it would be massively helpful. Anyway, I shall see you all later, everybody. I hope you've had a good week.